15K is pretty good, but now we gotta hit that 20K. What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're an indie artist looking for an album review and some promo, you can hit up Luke at redmattersite.com. But this is the 15,000 subscriber special where you guys sent in a bunch of questions. So obviously, I'm going to go down the list and answer them. Now, some of your questions might not be on here because I do get a lot of repeat questions that I already answered in my previous FAQ videos. So you can go back and check those. You might see the answer to your question there. And if I missed your question, feel free to just, send it to me at the bottom of this comment section here and I'll answer, because I was taking questions on Facebook, on Twitter, and YouTube, so I'm sure I missed a couple. But anyway, we're going to jump right into this. But before we do, I just want to say, please join up my new Facebook page. We got 15K plus subscribers on here. I don't even have 100 likes on that Facebook page. So I just want to help build that community a little bit, get some more people on there, because that'll be a good look, and I'll be posting release dates on there. We can have some more discussion about upcoming projects as they drop, new singles, etc. So just a good way to bring the community together and build it up. So give that page a like. I'll post it at the top of the comment section. But now we're going to go into the questions. So Conra asked me, would you ever make music like Grandad Wooly or Cal Chuchesta? And a lot of you know I actually did used to rap in the past. From about the age of 15 to 25. I was part of a couple albums and soundtracks, so I did make some music before. It's pretty fun, and sometimes I actually miss doing it. Metal Mickey, in your opinion, what are the best labels in hip-hop in terms of quality releases and artist treatment? I actually found that one kind of hard to answer because I think every label has their fuckery when it comes to how they treat their artists, and every label has, their good releases and bad releases. But in spite of how I haven't liked everything that TDE has done, especially this year, I'd still say that they're one of the best labels out there who really is quite consistent, and everybody is looking forward to their music. He also asked, what is your opinion on mixtapes being able to win Grammys, and do you think there are any mixtapes you can think of that do deserve a Grammy? I think a lot of mixtapes are better than albums sometimes, so I think they should be eligible to win Grammys, especially if they're original content, but I can't really think of any mixtapes off top that I think are Grammy worthy. I'd have to really dig deep and go down a big list to find you some answers for that. But you guys can hit up the comment section with which ones you think are Grammy worthy. Hopton Smith, can you name an album that you hated at first, but then ended up loving it years, months, or days later? And my answer to this question is always The Blueprint, because when it first dropped, I wasn't that big into it. It had a very different sound for the time, because back then it was more synthy, southern stuff that was going on. And then The Blueprint dropped with all these samples, just the introduction of Kanye West, some Just Blaze production on there as well. It was very different, so I didn't like it much at first, but as of now, it's probably my favorite hip-hop album of all time. Definitely one of them, so it grew on me. Connor PB says, what's your favorite diss track? Definitely has to be Hit 'Em Up by Tupac, because that shit was just ruthless right out of the gate. The whole thing was just vile. Austin asks, do you review music full-time or do you have another job? I don't make much doing this, so obviously I do work full-time. I'm a butcher. Justin Hughes says, who is your favorite member of the Wu-Tang Clan? And for me, it's got to be Ghostface. I think he's just been very consistent over the years while also experimenting and trying out new sounds and concepts. So I got a lot of love for Ghostface. Jordan Neal asks, how does this year in rap compare to last year for you as far as the quality of music goes? And I think this year started off kind of slow, and last year was just really great, so I was kind of worried about how this year was going to end up. But we've gotten a lot of great releases, especially lately, so once it comes time to make some top 10 lists, I'll definitely have a lot to pick from. Dante Fat Ikis, I hope I'm saying that right, I'm not sure, asks me, is there any rap artist that you did not like at all at first, but after a while, they ended up being one of your favorite artists to listen to? And I couldn't really think of a good answer for that, because there are some artists who maybe grew on me a bit over time, but I can't think of an artist who I really didn't like at all, and then they became one of my favorites. They might grow on me a bit, and I appreciate them, kind of like Young Thug. He grew on me a bit over time, but I still am not a huge fan of him, for just one example. Messi Lele. A lot of you guys, I might be mispronouncing your name, so I gotta apologize right from jump. Why do you think the Eminem Show isn't always labeled as a classic album from Eminem? People think SSLP and MMLP are his only classic albums, but I like the Eminem Show better than those two albums. I do think that's a solid album still, but that was definitely where I think his quality started to dip, at least in my opinion, especially when you look at the production, because MMLP had a lot of great beats. I think that's his best beat selection out of any project he's dropped. He got some nice Dr. Dre production on there. And then on the Eminem show, he was doing some more self-production, and I was never really a big fan of most of his self-produced beats. So I think that's an issue for some people, definitely was for me. We got another one here from Con Ra who asks, how do you and Needle Drop know each other? Basically just through doing reviews. You know, you go on YouTube, you see other people who are doing reviews, and people were hitting him up saying you guys should link up and do reviews. People were hitting me up and saying the same thing, so we just made it happen, which is pretty cool, and I'm thankful for that. The whole YouTube community has been pretty cool as far as reviews go, and I do have some more collabos in the work. Isaiah Townsend, are you going to do any video game reviews or movie reviews? I get asked this all the time, and I'd love to if I had more time, but I really just don't have a lot of extra time to do that, especially with all the releases that we get with hip-hop. I mean, there's so many mixtapes, albums, and EPs dropping all the time, but I have been throwing around some ideas, trying to come up with something, maybe even if I did a podcast every 2 weeks, or maybe once a month where I just kind of talked about all my interests, whether it's sports, video games, maybe do some of the reviews that I missed, just some other stuff like that. So if you guys are interested, let me know and maybe I'll do that. It's just an idea because I do have my new audio equipment. As you can see, my mic right there. So, you know, just an idea. What was your reasons for doing hip-hop reviews? That's another one from him. And I just have been listening to hip-hop all my life, made a bit of hip-hop. I just love the music and the culture. So for me, it was just a no-brainer to want to talk about it. Chef Baxter asks, if you were to pick a favorite hip-hop record from the East, South, and West, what would they be? This is a hard one. I've listened to so many great albums, it's hard to pick. These types of questions are always difficult. I would say for the West Coast, we can go with Chronic 2001. East Coast, we can say Blueprint. And for the South, I want to go with Scarface's The Fix. That was just a great album. I don't think people talk about that one enough. He also asks, who was your all-time favorite wrestler, and what would be a dream match for you? I've always been a huge Rey Mysterio Jr. fan, but it's hard to come up with a dream match because we've pretty much seen all the matches we've wanted to see. Once WCW came into WWE, and even with TNA bringing all their people over, there's not a lot of whole dream matches that I haven't seen. I've even watched some, you know, New Japan Pro Wrestling where we've got some of those potential dream matches. So I couldn't really think of one. We've been lucky to see a lot of our dream matches. Another one from Chef Baxter. He asks, what is your all-time favorite anime? And it's kind of hard to pick, but I would say Samurai Champloo, Attack on Titan, and I really did like Death Note until Nier and Mello, I think that's what their names were. Once they came into the picture, I just felt like the whole thing got sloppy, it ended kind of quick. I didn't like that shit at all, but the rest of the series was really dope. Boy Swank asks, Isaiah Rashad or Mick Jenkins? And my answer would have been Isaiah Rashad, but after hearing both of their albums, it's definitely Mick Jenkins now. High Power, this was actually a pretty cool one. If you had to choose 3 MCs, 2 producers, and a singer to make an album or a song, who would they be? And by the way, congrats on 15K and salutes from Chili. So thank you and shout out to Chili. I said give me Common, Crit, and Kendrick with vocals from Solange. And production-wise, let's just get everyone who worked on To Pimp a Butterfly and maybe some Raphael Sadiq. So we get a very jazzy and smooth, socially conscious album. I think that would be really dope. Black Flame 450 asks, what is the hardest game you've ever beat, and what are your favorite movies to watch? I love horror movies. I'm a big-time horror movie fan. Actually just got that Shudder app. If you haven't seen that, you should check it out. It's got a huge library of horror movies. And for a tough game that I beat recently, I'd say Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse on 3DS, because that shit was difficult, man. Some of those dungeons, especially that last one, go on and on and on. Just a huge maze. And then the final boss can kill you in one hit. You got to go through all this shit every time you start the fight. It's very brutal, but I did beat it, so that was pretty cool. Second Avenger, what is your opinion of Rap Genius, and do you ever annotate there? I actually don't annotate there, but I think Rap Genius is just great, especially for if you do reviews, you can kind of study like you would study for a test or something like that. But I like to come up with my own meanings when I go through lyrics. But once in a while, it's nice to look on Rap Genius, maybe if I missed a lyric or if I wanted to tie some themes together, it can definitely help. But I think the comment section is pretty awful. It's usually just a bunch of animated GIFs, and you got people who are just saying every song is fire. So, you know, just like any site, it has its ups and downs, but it's very useful and valuable. I think Genius is cool. Carl McGuirk, who's been your favorite producer so far this year? That's a hard one to pick, but I've liked a lot of Kate Renata stuff. He's just brought a lot of dancey, bubbly soundtracks for people. And also, shout out to Knowledge for what he did on No Worries, and Raphael Sadiq for what he did on Solange's album. There's a couple of answers. Funkmaster Sex, are there any rappers that are highly regarded that you think are overrated or you just couldn't get into? I think these days you can make an argument for just about any artist being overrated because we see how diehard a lot of fan bases are. But for me, my answer would be J. Cole. Definitely don't think he's a bad artist, not trash at all, but for all the hype and praise he gets, he's not an artist who I get excited about when he drops new music. I never really care, but obviously I check it because he is a popular artist. Mars Rover, favorite Outkast album? Another hard question. But Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music just holds a special place in my heart because that was some of the first rap I really got into. Definitely the first Outkast I got into. I had it dubbed on a tape, so that was some fire to me. That was great. But Outkast has so many great albums, you know. You could ask me again tomorrow and I might answer with another album. Dragon Balls, Marvel or DC, and your favorite characters? Never really got into DC at all. I came up as a Marvel guy. I actually just got all my comics from back home at my parents' house. I was digging through the basement, found all these Marvel comics that me and my brother had, maybe a couple DC ones in there. But I've always been a fan of the X-Men, particularly Nightcrawler. That's my dude. He's pretty cool. Dragon Balls also asked, do you prefer lyrical MCs or MCs with a message? And that's kind of a tough question, just the way that's put together, because I think to have a message, you have to be lyrical. But for me, I would say I like rappers who bring a message, because even though it is cool to listen to these technical rappers who can string together all these flows and syllables, usually it's only good for a couple of listens, just for me, because you hear it, you go, wow, his flow is crazy. But if you're not saying a whole lot, it's kind of hard to care. Obviously, if you can put both messages and technical skill together, that's a good thing. But if I had to pick one, I like rappers with a message. Christopher Mesidor, what did you think of the whole Jay-Z and Nas beef back in the early 2000s? Definitely one of the greatest beefs of all time. A lot of great tracks and personal bars in there. Your Face review plus gaming. Are you looking forward to the Tupac All Eyes on Me movie? Honestly, I'm not really. No. I mean, I'll probably watch it when it comes out and I can download it, but that's about it. William Clark. Why don't some people consider artists like Ye, Tupac, and YG lyricists? I think some people think lyricism has to be complex, but it doesn't always have to be. It comes back to that question I just answered. You can be very lyrical if you have a message. You don't always have to have crazy syllables and rhyme schemes. Little Wing, what's your favorite album from a different genre from rap and R&B, like let's say rock or something? I really like Blind Melon's self-titled debut album. That's pretty cool. Stone Temple Pilots' Purple. And I do like The Darkness as well. Their first 3 albums were a lot of fun, so I do like a bit of rock here and there. Technology TV. Do you think young listeners know the difference between auto-tune and TalkBox? I would say maybe some, but not all. Guess it would just depend on maybe what type of music they heard their parents when they were growing up. If they heard a lot of funk, heard a lot of Roger Troutman and Parliament, that sort of stuff, that might play a part. Nikhil Bhagat. What do you think of Mad Villainy and Death Grips? Mad Villainy, dope. Death Grips, not at all. I can't get with the Death Grips thing. I know that's very experimental. A lot of people like it, but it's just not my thing. Not everything is for everybody. Osmond the Old Beardy Bastard. What kind of things do you enjoy doing with your eldest daughter and what is she into? I asked that as a father of a little girl myself. For me, just listening to music and dancing, we have a lot of fun. She likes to hear music and sing along. Obviously, I got to be careful what type of stuff she hears, but you know, for the most part, she's pretty young. So I kind of play whatever. We have a lot of fun. We dance. And I like when she comes out and helps me with the yard work out back when I'm doing leaves and she's jumping in there. Basically anything, any time with her is good time. Kind of a cheesy answer, but you know what? Got love for my little girl and my little boy, so I'm just thankful for that. Also here, he asks, I know you enjoyed the Skepta album. Has that resulted in you checking out more UK artists, and is the accent an issue for you? The accent was never really much of an issue to me because if it's dope, and I actually think the accent kind of adds a different flavor, which is pretty cool. And I've checked a lot more UK stuff over this past year or so. I think Kano had a pretty good album. I love that Landlord album from Giggs. And you guys got some pretty dope female MCs coming out of the UK, man. Paige Keiki, Nadia Rose. Also, Skepta's album was pretty dope. So there are a lot of artists out there that are, you know, making some good music in the UK. And if you guys are from the UK, keep me posted on who I should be reviewing. Ethan Frey asks, who is the most underrated rapper you can think of? Just someone you think deserves more credit, and also congrats on the success. Thank you very much. And I would say Scarface. I think Scarface's discography is great, has a lot of great songs, very consistent, very versatile with his flows, the beats he can get on, and also the content he brings. I just think he's criminally underrated when we talk about the greatest of all time. David Rowe asks, the new channel art is dope. Thank you very much. And for the Q&A, what is your favorite Nas album? I was honestly never really a huge Nas fan. I was more of a Jay-Z guy, so I admit I need to brush up on my Nas. But a friend did lend me that I Am CD from Nas, and I bumped that one a lot. Not saying that's one of his best projects at all, but that's just one of the ones that I did have in rotation, and I liked quite a few songs on there. So, you know, my Nas knowledge isn't necessarily up to par. Got to work on that. Tiger Woods asks, what are your stands on the subjective taste when it comes to hip-hop classics? A lot of people seem to be getting flack for not enjoying 90s artists or not mentioning them in their favorites. For example, Lil Yachty speaking negatively on a Primo beat after freestyling over it and being trashed for it. And for me, I just think things change over time. There's always going to be generational gaps, so I'm not really bothered by it, and I don't think these new artists need to listen to and know of these older artists, because not everybody is going to go back and want to dig into the past. That's just not how it works for everyone, although I do think it is cool when new artists do know that stuff and show love. I just don't think it needs to be a rule or something that people need to get worked up about, but I'm not a hip-hop elitist, so that's just my opinion. Lorenzo C., what was the first album you listened to from start to finish, no pause, and do you think Westbrook is overrated? I would probably say Criss Cross's first tape when it came out. I just love that shit. Like with that Outkast album, that was some of the first rap I really got into. I like that one a lot. And I don't think Westbrook is overrated at all. I think we're going to find out this year what he can do now that he doesn't have KD there, so I expect him to put up some big numbers. Carl McGuirk, what are your predictions for next year's Grammys? Who do you think will get Rap Album of the Year? I honestly don't even follow the Grammys much. I don't think they get it right when it comes to Hip Hop Album of the Year, so I couldn't even tell you. But ask me again once the nominations are out, and I'll tell you what I think. I might even do a video on that, and we can all discuss it. Frank Amador, what do your family members and friends think of your reviews? Basically, any of my friends or family members who are into hip-hop, they definitely check it out and support. But the ones that aren't into hip-hop, obviously they don't care too much. They're supportive of what I do, but they don't go out of their way to watch and share anything like that. And that's fine, because I don't want anyone to feel forced into liking what I like. But I am very lucky that my loving wife is very supportive. She gives me the time I need to do this. She does a great job with the two kids. Obviously, I spend a lot of time with them as well, because I'm right here. But, you know, she's very flexible when it comes to giving me time to record and edit and do all these things. So she's amazing for that, and I'm very lucky. The Wolf's Den. This is actually the last question I have here. What are albums that you love that are critically panned? And this year I would say Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight, and THC, because they've gotten a lot of mixed reviews from a lot of critics, a lot of YouTube reviewers as well. But I thought both albums were pretty dope, man. Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight, I do get the knocks on it. It is kind of more the same from Travis Scott. A lot of people just think Rodeo is much better, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it had some nice bangers on there. Very fun album. And THC is just one of my favorite projects of the year, so obviously you can see my review to know what I think. But I thought that was a great project. And yeah, that's all the questions. Again, if I missed yours, maybe check the other FAQs. I may have answered the questions there, or you can comment here and I will answer them. For the next FAQ/Q&A video, I'll be doing it at 17,500 subscribers and then 20,000 after that. So keep sharing, watching, supporting. I'm very thankful for all you guys. Some of you have also donated, which I appreciate. That's why I'm able to get this new equipment and really try new things to make the channel better. Make sure you like that Facebook page. Help me out. I'd like to get more people talking on there, build up the community, because we have a pretty great community on this YouTube channel, man. I'm very thankful for you guys. We do get the odd troll here and there, but for the most part, we have very respectable discussion. We agree, we disagree, we share a lot of good opinions. So you know what? I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. Let's keep pushing. 20K is next. 17.5K, I guess, is the next goal, because that'll be the next video. But we want to hit 20K too, and above and above and above. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. I will see you next time.